Sorry, y'all. My live stream was cut off from earlier today. No one joined today. It was like Friday, so. But I usually am able to take a few nuggets and create a short or something like that, and that could help people if they check out my channel. But I had this whole like thing about running a money management firm and stuff, and it got cut off. So I don't know. I don't even know which part was cut off, but it was talking about how I was talking about how oh yeah, I'm glad I got the experience I had at the banks that I did, especially at Bank of America, and it's because I was able to do a little bit of everything at Bank of America and really dive into the operational stuff and compliance. Because if you don't do that, you can't manage the money, you can't do anything else. So, and it's paid dividends when I'm running my own business as far as operations and compliance, but not as much in terms of running a business. That part you just kind of learn on your own type thing, and uh, kind of correct mistakes as they happen. But if you don't take care of the operational and compliance stuff, it'll catch up to you. So I learned how important that is and how integral that is to money management. So it's not just, hey, can you pick a great stock, especially when you're running a money management business. So the camera flickering, yeah, that's the first time the camera just went out though. Hmm. Yo. It's not easy to manage money as like what I've learned is just because you get a lot of money doesn't mean you can manage it well, and that's just from managing money for so long, for as long as I did for wealthy people. You know, there's some people who either inherit it or just make it so fast they don't really know what to do with it. I've seen those scenarios where people they make so much money they make so much money that they spend it frivolously. So it's a dangerous thing. So like, when I hear Allen Iverson talking about his struggles with money and things of that nature, I'm like, that's a great example. An athlete who made a lot of money and just didn't know how to manage it. It's just an example. And AI is a great example. Although I think he's making money through his Reebok deal now. So I think what I'm going to try to do is like go live every now and then. I'll drop a nugget, and then if I have time on the weekends or whenever I do, I can see the transcript and I'll try to cut a little short video out of it. So we'll see how that works. And like I said, I'm not trying to be a YouTube star. I just think this will be interesting for me to look back on, and whoever, young people or whatever, to sift through and be able to say, hey, this is what managing money seems to be like or could be like, or running a business, so on and so forth. This camera thing is starting to irk me, though. I mean, it went out like 20 minutes ago, so now I'm like recording again, and it's all right though. It doesn't really matter. It's more if I post a live and people have that link, and then I've been posting the short, but then I'm like, look at my profile link to see the playlists. But sometimes you won't know where the playlist is, and so it just shows all my lives and my most recent lives, I guess. Or sometimes it depends on market conditions. Like, I got the most views I got was my first live. That's usually what happens because it's novel. And then my live when the market rebounded this week after selling off 2%. So as long as my camera holds up, it's a very convenient way for me to share knowledge because it's on the fly, it's in the moment. Because I can't. Sometimes I'm like, gosh, I want to share this, and then I'm like, and then I don't do it, basically. Because then I gotta like, instead of just doing it on the fly when I have time, I have to like sit down and like record myself and then try to edit it and then try to remember everything. It's like I'm not that organized, especially because I don't ever plan to make money through the social media stuff because I think the thresholds are really high, and I feel like I'd have to spend like all my time doing that, trying to get attention and things like that. But it really is like just an alternative for people who want to see what real money management is like, not wild money management, not the wild wild west, and trying to get clicks and eyeballs and things like that. And it's not like I want to be boring, but this is like real like real life stuff for real. It's not made up. I wish there was a way that the YouTube viewers could like pull up a transcript themselves, but then I looked at closed captioning. I have to type it in myself. It's not like TikTok and Instagram Reels where it'll generate the captioning. I have to literally type it in. And so that goes back to I don't have the capacity to do that. So what I was thinking too is as I can have a note, like a notepad or a Word file up, and then as I share something, I can note the time in the live as well as what content I'm sharing, and then somehow type it in the closed captioning or something or somewhere. Or I could just say it at the end, something like that. Something more organized so that people aren't just sifting through like long silences, and like I'm talking randomly. It's not even 3 yet. I woke up a little. Well, I'm always working at that time anyway, 6:30 anyway. But a lot of busyness underneath, a lot of busyness under that move. I think I saw it on TV. The guy who summarized it said exactly what I was saying. And I was like, wait, is he listening to my lives? Because I doubt it. But most people who are looking at market observers see that there's a push-pull between the large caps, which did work today. And by the way, that's S&P 500. I'm a big fan of the S&P 500. So I'm not saying, I'm just saying the largest companies are the ones that drove it last year. I think certain select ones will probably continue to drive things this year. I don't know which ones. But that's why I say S&P 500 index. And when I say I don't know which ones, is I don't know every single company that as well as I do certain other ones. That's what I mean. But in addition to, see, I got to lock in real quick. In addition to S&P 500, what I'm saying is there may be a broadening out a little bit. It would make sense. But again, broadening out to what? It doesn't mean all mid and small caps are going to do well. All I'm saying is certain, probably select mid caps. That means middle capitalization, mid capitalization stocks. So like I don't even know where the demarcations are anymore, but there's small capitalization, mid capitalization, and large capitalization. I would think mid is like 10 to 50, and then large is 50 or higher, and then small is like 10 and under. I don't know. You can Google it, but the point is, I don't think in terms of broad categories like that. I'm very much in every single stock. I'm just saying last year was so narrow, it sucked the wind out of almost probably every single smaller company outside of the S&P 500. All I'm saying is money may find their way to select good ones, so whichever ones you were waiting on that you selected may get their due, and some of them already have. Some of them pulled back today, though. So and so the question is this going to happen like it did last year? Because last year it wasn't, the large caps didn't start, and a very narrow set of large caps didn't start rallying till like late in the year, or really the second half of last year. So will the same thing happen this year? I don't know. That's what I'm saying. I don't have all the answers. That's why I'm saying stay diversified. S&P 500 index. I would even recommend an international index. Which one you ask? There's the MSCI ACWI, ACWIX-US, meaning that's the international index without the US. And then there is the MSCI ACWI, which includes the US. So the benchmark that in the fund that I was working, for the fund managers that I was working for, the Global Opportunities portfolio at Bank of America Private Bank, was their benchmark was the MSCI ACWI. But if you want to do purely international exposure, which I recommend, then you can look for indexes that international indexes that copy or track the MSCI ACWI ex-US. But I will say this: there are ETFs that split. Generally, when you think in international, money managers think in international in two ways: developed and emerging markets. So you can actually find ETFs that are not only developed international, but emerging markets international. Okay. And you can Google that. I'm not going to tell you, like I said, I'm not here to push products. I'm here to help you understand what's out there. And you can allocate whatever. It depends on the Intelligent Investor with Jason Zweig. I swear it's Zweig, but with his commentary, I think he recommends 30%. It just depends on what you think. But a lot of U.S. companies, like if you ask Warren Buffett, he feels comfortable putting all his money in the S&P 500 because those are global companies. Those big companies have global operations everywhere. So you may not need as high as 30, but do you want maybe 10 or maybe 15? Sure. And do you want the majority? Okay, so you probably want the majority of that in developed international, because those are the largest international, like developed international. You can look it up, right? Which markets those are, and then there's emerging markets as well. And so you want to probably dedicate a little less to that, but just look at each one. But it's typically in an international portfolio, you include both, and emerging markets will probably be a smaller piece of that. Like for example, Europe is generally speaking developed international. So that gives you an idea of what's in that index if you want international exposure, which may not be a bad idea. I don't know. As I said on my last live from yesterday, towards the end of the day, maybe 10% isn't a bad idea, especially with the U.S. sort of decoupling from the world in many ways. So it may not be a bad idea. I don't know. But do your research. And but there are, like I said, ETFs, exchange traded funds. You could Google that as well, and funds that you can buy that will give you that international exposure. So, and by the way, like I said, and you may have missed it, international exposure. Well, international. There's a lot of international markets that did better than the U.S. last year, which didn't happen the previous years. Which had just happened last year. Funny enough, despite all the tariffs and everything. So, yeah, it's pretty interesting. This is why I wanted to re-record this ending part, because like at the end of the day, I'll kind of summarize, and I didn't get a chance to do that. You just have this long gap of me thinking in case anyone's tuning in. I'll be back. Hmm. Mad Money's on. I'll listen to his beginning part and then just probably put it on silent as I usually do. But honestly, I'm trying to lock in, so maybe I won't. Yeah, he's just gone over earnings. Which company's going over earnings? Um, which companies are reporting basically, and there's a lot of companies reporting next week. Mm-hmm. I posted my live today and I just put, I'm live. And I got 0 people watching the whole time. That's a first. I should probably title it better, but it's a Friday and nothing exciting is happening in the market. So who cares? Who knows? But who cares as well? Like, I mean, the it's what works for me. So if people join, great. If they can't, then great. I mean, it's not going to always work, but and who knows? I might find a better cadence as well for myself instead of every day or something like that. I don't even know. Like today, I started earlier. I'm trying different things, right? So I posted it really early. So mm. All right, it's 3. I should probably wrap it up in terms of this video feed soon. This foreign currency stuff is a different animal. Oh, okay. So, yes, I have been investing internationally. That's the best way to say it. I mean, since last year, I mean, well, since I started the company, I've been investing internationally, mainly through ADRs. Local currency was a little newer, so see, I'm literally seeing headlines in Barron's right now. Did Trump taco on Greenland? This is so funny. I posted a short on this, a shorter video on why I think it's a mistake to call Greenland a taco move, but it is what it is. Yeah, and there is a difference between like running a money management business. I was saying it before I was cut off in a previous stream. A money management business and every other business, and that you can scale up pretty large in a money management business, and with with without increasing your headcount. And so, a great example is Warren Buffett at his headquarters in Omaha. There's like 50 people managing $1 trillion company. So everybody's got to have a big role. And so, and then some businesses you can start and be profitable right away. But money management, whether it's assets under management or performance fees, you don't know what you're making year to year. So you got to be very careful in terms of bringing on headcount. Um, you can scale quite a bit before needing extra people. So you can take on a lot as an individual person. And I was also saying how, as an entrepreneur, and it may have been included in the previous feed, but it's worth repeating, is it's a mistake to think, hey, I'm going to be a business owner or I'm going to go start a company and I'm just going to do what I want. And many times you're working even harder because you don't have a team to help. You don't have a team to support you. You don't have someone to back you up for vacation. So it can be rough starting off. And if you're not working harder when you first start than when you were working in a full-time role, you might not be doing it right. So it's not all as glorious as it's cut out to be, but it's also it can also be very rewarding because everything you're doing is going back to you. You're paying yourself. All your efforts ultimately build something for yourself and your family. So I guess you could think about it that way, and then you could be your own boss as well. So that's appealing to a lot of people, I guess. And it depends on your personality. Some people don't like that. I tend to like that. And it's not that I minded any of my previous bosses or managers or whatever, but I tend to thrive even without direction. And that's why I did so well in my sales roles as well. So, you know, put me out there, give me some, metrics, not metrics, but goals, put a leaderboard up there, gets my competitive juices going, so it's, and that's all I need. I don't need a whole bunch of direction. Like, hey, obviously you go through training and all that, but sometimes it's competition, sometimes it's recognition, sometimes it's compensation. It's different things that motivate an individual, and it's not always someone, sitting over you saying, hey, do this. So, and everybody's personality is different. I tend to thrive in those environments where I don't have, I tend to thrive where a lot of direction is not necessarily needed. Not that I can't thrive in more formal environments or structured environments. I mean, but I would equate starting a business to that of a salesperson, going out there and kind of, I guess the best way, eating what you kill. and if you're into that, then hey, starting a business may be for you, or it could be for you. Who knows? But many times you're putting in a lot more hours, so, and necessarily so. So. All right. I don't. No issues with this. No issues with that. Let me see something. Oh. But yeah, if you don't take care of the sludge, if you don't take care of the operations, the compliance parts, it's going to pile up. And I learned that from all my years at mainly Bank of America. And that's with every role that I was in. It was important to manage, even as a salesperson, I had to make sure my operation was clean. Okay. 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 That's fine. This currency conversion stuff is a different animal. Oh, whoa. Different animal. Holy moly. Minnesota people, yo, showing out. Dang. It's cold as heck. Hey, I know how those Midwest temperatures are. Y'all ain't playing out there. I interviewed in Minneapolis at Lazard Middle Market. Put me in a nice hotel out there downtown. Uh, it's when I landed in Minnesota, I was like, man, it seemed, it's like the Midwest. It's a lot of space, and you don't always. Well, it's like the Midwest. It's understated. That's the best way to say it. A lot of people look at it and they're like, oh, it's nothing there. But I've learned there's a lot of understatement in the Midwest, and Minnesota is definitely. But when I landed, I think it was snowing, of course. I still have pictures. It was a beautiful hotel, um, and of course they got me to taking tests, and I'm just, yeah, I'm just not. I'm not. I can take tests. It's just like if there was a internship I did that required sort of a test and discounted cash flow models and things of that nature, and it's all very theoretical, and it's just not how my mind works. My mind's very efficient with what it keeps in here, and so if I can connect it to an end goal and I can see the end result, then I'll do it. I can learn it pretty fast. And so on the job like stuff. So long story short, I mean it is one of the, it's sometimes the universe will give you signs and signals that this is probably not the best for you, and that's not a bad thing, so um, I obviously had to do very well on my tests, on standardized tests, to get into UC Davis and Notre Dame, so I can obviously do it. So it's not my it's I would say it's not my favorite thing to do. I like going out there. I like doing this. I like making mistakes and learning, and getting better. So I don't even remember what the market did today. Okay, flat. All that to be flat for the day. But again, there was a lot happening underneath. A lot happening. So It's what makes markets exciting. It's as stoic as you want to be. You still are paying attention to it, and you're still along for the ride as far as market fluctuations, volatility, things of that nature. I turned off Kramer. It's Friday. He needs to take, he's in there in the morning, then he does work, and then I guess he goes in the afternoon. I don't know. It's a lot. Holy moly. Oh. Holy moly. All right. Probably going to shut it down. It's Friday, and I'm realizing this is going to be a little bit more work than I thought. But that's how it is. And so, yeah, I'm going to wrap it up. Long day. My live cut out. It was so long of a day, I guess. But I discussed a few things I don't remember off the top of my head because it was such a long day, but I kind of already talked about what happened in the markets today, and I talked about international, how to go about allocating potentially to international emerging markets and developed. And I think that's separate and distinct from the MICI ACWI ex-US. I think the MICI ACWI, it might have developed and emerging markets. So just check on that, and the book I was recommending today, or mentioning that, what gave me some perspective in terms of the development of countries and how you cannot judge a person based on the development of countries. That book is called The Wealth and Poverty of Nations. And there's other good books called How the Scots Invented the Modern World, and one other book, Guns, Germs, and Steel. That was a good book as well. All recommended, by the way, by a super Republican named Charlie Munger. So rest in peace, Charlie. But some probably some conservative views in those books, but I read them anyway because It's okay to have perspective and not agree. I learned, at least in growing up, it's better to be able to see the other side. It makes your argument stronger. So that's how I've always learned it. A lost art in today's dialogue, in political environment. But as I mentioned, I'm continuing to make improvements on the lives. My camera's obviously getting weird, but I'll do my best to kind of summarize at the end, and if I can, put together some shorts, short video forms, things of that nature. But yeah, hopefully we'll see what happens. But as I mentioned, hopefully I can drop some knowledge every now and then and continue to provide perspective on what I'm doing. If my partners and investors tune in, maybe they can see a little bit of what I'm doing, and it provides some transparency and communication to what I do on a daily basis, and to young people, and to just the everyday person, just to see what running a money management business can entail and what it can look like. But anyhow, this is the real deal. I think future lives, I can get into what it took to even start this, and it was a lot of work. So, and a lot of lucky circumstances. I met some really good people, and but I can cover that in another day. But if you're tuning in, thank you for tuning in. If you're watching the replay, thanks for watching, and I will try to put together some shorter videos and post that so it's more digestible. But I got to do what works. As I mentioned, I don't see myself ever having a big social media presence, anything like that. I mean, I do what I can, but the editing, all that stuff is tough for me. So if I'm able to do it on the fly in the moment, it just speaks to my personality too. I can't sit there and like organize like XYZ what I have, I can. I'm not incapable, but I just feel like it's more real when the lessons are organic and they happen in the moment to something that's relevant for that day or that hour or something like that. I feel like those are more powerful. I could speak to it more authentically, and I don't have to make things up. I don't have to like think of a program. This is real life, so I think it's unique, and I think it's interesting, and it's something that, like I said, I myself can look back on. Young people who ask me about things can look through and say, hey, I wonder what goes into this. I don't think anybody's documented this that I've seen. Nobody's like going through their workday like, hey, here, look at me manage money. It's always like, I don't know, somebody trying to be entertaining, like hitting each other with, I don't know, those foamy things. I don't know. It's all about clicks and views, and I'm okay with that. I mean, it's just I've also seen on the financial side and the investment side some channels that have a huge following, and then I watch it and I'm like, how does that help anybody? So hopefully an alternative, hopefully some good information to mix in with the bad, and you get a medium result, so not to say that mine's like all like high up here, but it's pretty basic, and hopefully a little bit of entertainment every now and then as well. So thanks all. Have a great weekend.